we're going to be talking about estimation. The word estimate means a close guess of the actual value using thought or some calculation. You would want to write that definition down on the teacher's side. A lot of us think that to estimate means to round. Round is just one of the strategies we use in estimation. Your question for today was, what value does estimating have in the real world? And I'm going to give you just a few examples of what you might have put, and you could have a lot of others besides this. Think about the cafeteria. The cafeteria has to estimate daily on how much food to make because they don't know exactly how many of you are going to bring your lunch or not, so they have to get a rough guess of how much food. If your mom or dad's having a party and they're having some friends over and they don't know exactly how many people are coming, because some people RSVP and some people don't, just show up, they would want to make sure they have enough food so that everybody can get fed and have a good time while they're at the party. Or even for a birthday party, your parents have to make sure that they have a good estimation of how many kids are going to show up, so if they give out goodie bags or whatever. If you're going on a trip, your mom and dad estimate about how much money to bring because they want to make sure they can do all the fun things with you. And they want to make sure they have enough money for gas and whatnot. So parties, trips, and like I said, you could have a bunch of other things. We're going to get very specific today on estimation. We're going to be talking about rounding. And once again, these are still on the teacher side, even though I'm on a different page. Rounding is reducing the number of digits while keeping a similar value. Rounding is, out of the two ways that you could estimate, it's the easy way, so it's easy to do. And it is the most common method of estimation. It's not the only way to estimate, which we're going to talk about the other way tomorrow, but it is the most common method for estimating. And it involves rounding up and rounding down. Now you may have a lot of different ways to remember depending on what your teacher said. One of them is find the place, look next door, 0 to 4, say no more, 5 to 9, add one more. Another one is 5 or more, raise the score, 4 or less, let it rest. However you want to remember the rule, but there are rules for rounding, so that is very important to remember. There are rules for rounding. Like the little sayings go, if the digit you're looking at is 5 to 9, you're going to round up. And if it's 4 or less, you round down. So we're going to look at a few examples and then we will be done. Example 1. If you had the number 677 and your question said for you to round to the place of the underlined digit, you would look at this place and then look next door, which is a 7, and the rule is 5 to 9 round up, so you're going to round this guy up. So these guys will turn into zeros and the 6 will turn into a 7. So this is your estimation by rounding. So try this one by yourself on the student side. 12,064. And I want you to round to the nearest hundreds. So go ahead and pause and try it. Okay, so you look at the underlined digit, look next door. This one was in the 5 to 9, so we're going to round up. So this would be 12,100. That would be how to round. The reason why we estimate is to make things easier. The most important thing that you've got to remember about estimation, and I'm going to put this on this page because I have room, is never solve the problem first and then estimate. You always want to estimate before you ever solve. That defeats the whole purpose of estimation. We don't estimate so that we can just get our answer and then round. We estimate so that we don't have to go through all that hard work of adding big numbers or whatever. We can just round up or round down and make things easy in our head. All right, now let's try some estimation using the rounding technique with some decimals. If I had 75 and 8/10 and I wanted to round to the nearest ones place, I'm going to look next door. I see an 8, so it goes in this row right here. So I'm going to round up. So I turn that into a 0. He goes one higher. I'll leave that guy alone. 76 and 0/10, or I could just put plain old 76. All right, I want you to try this one. 5 and 28 thousandths, round to the nearest hundredths place. Go ahead and pause me and try it. Okay, so you look next door, you saw an 8, said to round up. So he turns into a 0. This guy rounds up 1 to a 3. Everything in front of it stays the same. Only the things behind change. Go ahead and try another one for me. Do this on the teacher side. I'm sorry, on the student side. Okay, I want you to round to the nearest tenths place. Go ahead and pause me and try it. All right, so you were looking at this one. Look next door. It's a 3. Well, now it's 4 or less. We round down. That means he's just going to turn into 0 as well as the other one, and we don't do anything to this guy. So it would actually be 84 and 700 thousandths, or we could just put 84 and 7/10 because we don't have to have those zeros at the end.
That was easy.